What? Why are you shaking your head? Yo, what is going on? Welcome back. Welcome in. Best Ball Breakdown. Let's go. Every Wednesday, Ryan and I will be here live drafting best ball teams, hopefully helping you win some money and putting a couple extra doll hairs in our bank accounts too, Ryan. That'd be nice. It's Wednesday, May 21st. Hope you guys are having a great week. We just got the schedule a couple weeks ago. GM, good morning. It's I don't know, Bendels, where are you at? It's morning where you're at. Good morning. It's afternoon here. Good to see you. Yeah, man, we're going to be drafting some teams today. Going through the schedule. We'll talk some players that are moving up and down by ADP at the end of the show. We just passed 15,000 subscribers, Ryan. We are just absolutely ripping here on YouTube. If you're hanging out with us on YouTube, on Twitter, wherever you're at, thanks for hanging with us this afternoon. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you're doing so immediately. Yeah, inject this into my veins too, man. I've been looking forward to this all day. Ryan, how you doing, dude?
Hey, doing great, man. Yeah, just been grinding all the schedule analysis with Scott Barrett over the last week. So yeah, I feel uniquely prepared to draft a bunch of best ball teams thinking about nothing other than playoff week correlation. So
I mean,
excited to get into it.
Are you even a best ball degenerate if you don't have the week 17 schedule already memorized? Like, yeah, come on. Like, we got the printouts going. We got I got the look ahead lines up. You've got the schedule adjusted metrics going with Scott. Every angle covered. Let's get into a draft. Ryan, we tried to do a BBM last week. It was a little slow to fill. Let's try to get in this week. We did a puppy last week. I'm feeling 20 seconds. We're pros here. Attempted to be pros. Anything you're noticing? We can just riff week 17. I mean, we were talking just briefly before air. I think this slate is really nice. There's obviously some bottom end matchups like the Steelers and Browns game, AFC East, Patriots and Jets game, kind of lower total, but I think you can make an argument for a lot of these games, and they all project really well. It's May 21st, etc. But some good looking games. What's kind of standing out to you right now?
Yeah, you're right that a lot of kind of like the lower tier offenses are matched up against each other. Like we've got like the Raiders and Giants as well as like another one, but that kind of helps because it just makes all the exciting offenses play each other. And not just that, there's a lot of these games that are good offenses, but in domes or in warm weather climates, which is hard for me to think about this time of year, but it is very important in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, there's just some awesome game stacks that you can very easily do. Rams Falcons is probably the easiest one to just do rounds 1, 2, 3. You can click like Puka, London, Adams, and you're just loaded up. It's awesome. They're in a dome. I've kind of wanted, I haven't done this yet, but I kind of want to do like a Nico Collins plus Lad McConkey contrarian, like slight reach at like the 1-2 turn. Not drafting a lot of Nico other than that, but I just doing that again in a dome. Texas Chargers could be a high scoring game. That's another one that's kind of on my mind.
I love that call. I like that Chargers Texans game stack. Lad is going to be a priority target for me in the second round. I'm kind of with you on Nico. I actually just bumped him up in the rankings today. I feel like we're just like slightly low on him. The projection is, it's kind of hard to get him where he's been, but like you look at his last 18, 19 games, like all with Stroud. Throw away those last couple of games of Stroud's rookie season where he got hurt. Nico got hurt. The dude's been around like 18, 19 PPR points per game. I mean, he's been a high-end wide receiver one. They only brought in 2 rookies. So I'm with you. I think we're going to continue to be a little low on Nico, but I like that game stack a lot. And you mentioned it, the Rams-Falcons game stack, man, like every time I'm taking Bijan, like you and I were talking about Devontae Adams last week. We're both pretty high on him again, but anytime I'm taking Bijan, like I am just kind of jamming Devontae with some Ram stacks. I think that just makes a ton of sense. Still waiting for 4 people. If you're hanging out in chat, you want to draft, you're hanging out with us in Discord, listening on Twitter, and you want to draft against us, we got 4 people, now 3. BBM 22nd, come and draft against us. Ryan, Eagles, Bills. looks pretty tasty too. I'm not super stoked on like stacking up Bills again. But it's one of those things. You draft Barkley, like you're gonna want. It's one of those things where like you want Bills, you want Josh Allen. If you have a Barkley team, it should make you more likely to draft Josh Allen and stack him with at least one of his receivers. Um, again, man, I don't have a ton of love for the Bill stacks because I love Allen, but it's hard for me to see any of these receivers like really crushing. It's just super tricky to project. We loved Khalil Shakir last year. I think Shakir's fine price this year. Jags, Colts, obviously great game. I love this Broncos Chiefs game. I was looking through the totals, man. 44.5 feels pretty light for Chiefs Broncos. Knicks, year two ascension against a hopefully better Chiefs offense that'll hopefully be healthy at that time of year. Ryan, unfortunately, streamer's luck. Second last.
Oh, look at that. We could do the Nico Ladd start that I
Hey,
theorized.
all right, I like it.
If he makes it, but yeah.
No, he will. Yeah, Nico's he's been kind of in that pocket. Yeah, I really like that call. That feels like there wasn't really a great back end receiver game stack last year. Everyone had the Lamb Amon-Ra 2 years ago. And that was like the nuts. That feels pretty freaking good, man. I was looking into Ladd earlier this week and just like kind of feel like I kept bumping him up mentally, like we're already pretty high on him, but like that call a lot.
Yeah, it's just nice because it's also gonna be relatively unique. I think I don't think Ladd is gonna make his way up to the turn. Most likely, that's my guess. He's not gonna make his way up to the turn by the time any of these contests close. So, yeah, just like a slight reach. Our projections supported anyway. He's like our wide receiver 7, I believe. So a totally defensible pick at the turn in a vacuum. So yeah, that's just the kind of like little mini reach I like to do to get unique.
For sure. Like that a lot. And receiver just kind of feels a little bit, wide open. We were talking a little bit about this last week before we moved on, but receiver is pretty wide open pretty much after London. I think you could kind of have a big open long tier after that. All right, so first 6 picks, pretty chalk. I'll throw up the board here. Want to say what up to chat. How are you guys doing this afternoon? Leave any comments below. I want to hear from you guys. While we're drafting, tell us where we messed up. Hopefully, where we didn't mess up as we try to take down a couple $1,000,000 here, drafting a Best Ball Mania team. Ryan, the advancement structure in BBM is different than a lot of like the puppies and schnauzers. You just have significantly lower odds. The advance rates are basically the same for the quarter and semifinals I think they've been the same for the last couple of years. But yeah, you definitely have at least lower relative odds of getting there. Okay. We might get it, man. We might get your call.
Yeah, look at that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I don't love anything else at the turn anyway, honestly, this year. Like I'm trying to get my McCaffrey exposure there when I can, but there's nothing that like super jumps out to me. So doing weird stuff is kind of fun.
No, I'm with you. And McCaffrey's the guy who stands out to me. We could talk a little bit about that. McCaffrey's coming up though, man. And I think everybody's kind of getting to that point where it's like, he's actually healthy. Like last year, he didn't practice. He didn't, show up at all in August. Like wasn't there in May for OTAs either. Like fully healthy. Knee is probably not. Well, it's Christian McCaffrey, so I shouldn't say probably not an issue, but he should be at OTAs here in a couple of weeks, and he's really started to come up, man. His ADP at Open was like 13 or 14. He went 8 here.
Yeah, no, and I mean it's rightfully so. Like I'd feel really stupid if McCaffrey had like a 1-2 turn ADP and I wasn't overweight. Honestly, it's like just a really similar bet to last year when we were all taking him at the 101. Like there's no there's no reason to get cute with him, I think. And yet, also wouldn't be surprised if his ADP continues to rise over the summer like we kind of generally see with running backs.
That is definitely going to be the case this year with McCaffrey. I'm not sure if we see him cross Jainty, but he did here. I mean, on average, I'm saying I don't know if we see him cross Jainty. Jainty's been going 8-9 pretty consistently. Sometimes it's 7. Um, that might actually be the case. Maybe I need to bump up McCaffrey even more in my mental model. Uh, no other real surprises. Derrick Henry going at 18 here. Bowers and McBride going back to back. Bowers has been
I
fouling a
actually
little.
I meant to ask you about this, Graham. The more I look at it, the more I think that Bowers and McBride are just being completely overdrafted relative to all of the wide receivers you could be getting. Like we have T. Higgins projected 2 fantasy points per game higher than Trey McBride, for example, and Higgins goes, I think, 1 spot after him by ADP. Bowers didn't happen in this draft, but you usually have to take him over like a Devon Achane or a Drake London. I don't know. I feel like these tight ends have jumped the shark a little bit, and I'm not going to have a lot of early tight ends this year. This is like a managed redraft stat, but the only tight end since 2017 to post like a league-winning win rate season within the first like 4 rounds of ADP or the top 40 picks is Travis Kelce, who's done it 4 times, but no other tight end's done it in that period. So I don't know. I don't want to say Bowers can't be Kelce, but it's rough to me to have to take him where he goes.
I want to table this discussion because I think it's important. And the more
Yeah.
I've drafted, the more I've come closer to your opinion. We're about to be back on the clock here. I want to Chase Brown to fall to us really bad. Did not happen. For me, I think we've got to take either Brees or Mixon here.
Brees has fallen enough that I'm okay with it,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
So yeah.
This would be my first Brees team, but for this team, I like that a lot. Do you want to go? You want to go Worthy here? I kind of feel like he's a guy who's going to keep coming up by ADP, he's close enough in our projections.
Yeah, I'll let you take him. Tet is my preference here, but
All right, no, let's do it.
I took the lead on the first one.
No,
So
let's take Tet. It's close enough, and I've not taken enough Tet. All right, so let's talk back Bowers and McBride because when I first started doing all my like research, like in April, I was like, oh, my God, like Bowers profiles is a first round pick. Like his rookie season, they got Geno. Geno's so good over the middle. Bowers just like a monster, right? And then you start looking at the back end of the tight end rankings this year, right? And it's like I can fill out my roster with 3 tight ends because we all know late round tight end, the 3 tight end builds on Underdog typically smash. Only about half of the people on Underdog actually take 3 tight ends, even though it's been relatively much stronger in terms of EV and your advance rate from the regular season to the postseason. Not talking finals. I mean, there is legitimately, and I was talking to Chris about this too. There's legitimately like 10 from ADP's like 110 to 180, and you can get 3 of them and they're free. And to your point, it's best ball is an opportunity cost game, you know? Like receiver dies. We were talking about this last week. Receiver is completely I really start feeling very shaky around this point. When we start talking about Ayuk and Kupp and Shakir, like at that point, I always want to have at least 4 or 5 receivers. So I came into this whole regular season thinking, man, I love Brock Bowers. Like I'm going to be drafting a ton of them. I love Trey McBride. He projects so well. But then I start drafting my own teams. And I'm like, man, I'm not going to have a whole lot of these guys for all the reasons you're laying out. And it really, to me, is like a twofold thing. It's the 3 tight end builds just smash generally, but it's also just like it's the receivers, man. I mean, we've just really on Underdog. It's to a lesser extent than it was last year, but on Underdog, you've got to be aggressive to get at least 4 good receivers, and I'm perfectly fine being aggressive on receiver as opposed to tight end, and that's kind of where I come around to it.
yeah, no, you summed it up incredibly well. Like I guess the only thing I'd add is for me, I kind of think of in best ball, if I'm drafting a lot of teams, like there are going to be some players where I don't like their cost, but I recognize the upside that isn't always going to be captured in projections, and I'll say, okay, I'll make sure I get like 5% of that player if he falls past ADP. Bowers definitely falls into that for me. I'm not sure McBride even really does, honestly, but yeah, I'm expecting to come in below market on pretty much every early tight end just because of what you said. Yeah, all of the later guys are just so strong, and the profiles aren't really that different than like the mid round early guys.
Yeah, and they're very easy to stack. I mean, even if you take Josh Allen this early, Dalton Kincaid is free. Zach Ertz is free with Jaden Daniels. Both the Ravens guys are free. Dallas Goedert is cheaper than he's ever been, even though we know he's back. It's just one of those ADP environments where like I'm much more willing to take the elite quarterback who gives me an access to 30 fantasy points as opposed to a tight end. The only tight end I really want, man, is the one right here.
Yep.
That's like the only like. We'll see if we get him. I don't know. This is a 4 wide receiver team. It'd make a ton of sense. But we could also take Chuba and have a little Panthers pairing, which I don't hate. Yep. So no Kittle. We'll take Chuba for sure.
Yep.
I'll give you
here.
What's that?
Yeah, I love Chuba here.
Okay. We'll take Chuba. We'll have 30 seconds. You and I have both been talking about Addison. I just love clicking Addison. I think that's like kind of where my head's at here. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I'm with you on Addison. We have Judy ranked slightly higher, but something I have been realizing doing like the schedule analysis is the Browns have one of the hardest schedules just in terms of against quarterbacks and just opposing win total overall. One of the hardest schedules in the league. It's very likely to me that the Browns are in just full on tank mode, like week 14 on. So it makes me, while I love how Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman and even David Njoku even project, it's a little scary to me in a large field tournament where weeks 15 through 17 are the most important. That who's to say that the Browns aren't rolling out whichever rookie is they have like the least faith in to tank the last few games, right? Like we saw the DTR experience last year. Why would we not expect the same thing to happen the final few weeks of 2025? So yeah, it's been giving me like some additional pause and making me click certain guys over like Judy and Tillman that I wouldn't ordinarily.
No, I think that's a really important point because I think at the end of the day, a lot of best ball comes down to just that, like who is on the best offenses at the end of the season. And that's kind of made me a little queasy about Quinshon Judkins, maybe less so than Judy, because I can stomach that Judy is probably capped a little bit in this offense for sure. But, with a rookie running back, man, we need those touchdowns. And Judy can be completely fine as a wide receiver 3 or 4 with 5 catches and 60 yards per game. But if we're taking Judkins here in the 6th, 7th round, and I loved Quinshon Judkins, don't get me wrong. But again, same thing. It's kind of made me a little queasy. We were talking Patriots, your Patriots, Ryan. They are projected to win 10 games, my friend. 10. And yeah, sure, they do have a really easy schedule, whatever. They do. They get to play the NFC South. That's great. But like that is a humongous jump. They have basically the same implied points per game if you sum up all the total points per game. Weeks 1 through 17, they have the same points per game as the Cowboys. Travion Henderson has been a guy that like I was really I had Judkins and Henderson like back to back, but after doing some of the schedule analysis, after looking at the look ahead lines, I've moved up Henderson because man, the Patriots defense is going to be better. I mean, I realize that they're not implied to win blowout games, Ryan. It's like a lot of 3 and 4 point spreads, but that's still like very strong projection for a team that was so bad last season.
Yeah, and it makes such a huge difference for a running backs team just to even be in the game as opposed to the Browns last year. I tweeted out earlier this week that the Browns trailed on something like 73% of their offensive plays last year. And that is just straight up like a 30% reduction in fantasy points per snap for any running back on average. So yeah, I'm with you. I am not really a Judkins guy at all this year. Big Hunter Henry guy with with the implied total stuff you were mentioning. Yeah, he was like the tight end 12 in underdog fantasy points per game with Drake May last year. So yeah, just more juice to the late round tight end stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, great call on Henry. Yeah, he really projects extremely well. I think Hawk here for us, man, just screams it to me, and then from there, like I'm lost. So help me.
Yeah. Yeah, Hawk's fine. We have Addison that
Yeah.
can kind of work. Um, let's see.
Here's
Yeah,
my
nothing at
ADP.
nothing at running back I'm particularly interested in. So I think you just keep adding at wide receiver probably.
Yeah, Mooney is the
Um,
top guy or Downs. I like Mooney a little more for stack ability.
yeah, yeah, let's go Mooney here.
Yeah, it's close. And yeah. Oh yeah, Detroit. That's right. Sorry, I was looking at week 18. All right, so we got a little 2-5-1 build going here, looking for some Vikings. We've got our stacks pretty much clearly planned out. And then Ryan, I think we're going to be looking for probably at least 5 running backs, maybe 6. This could be a 3-6-7-2. You could do a 2 tight end build with Hawk. Let me get back to the full board view here. One thing I noticed, and I was looking through some ADPs over the last 7, 14, 20 days since open. Obviously, we see this kind of every year. Quarterbacks get a little cheaper. But Joe Burrow here, 63. This might be one of the new lows I've seen for him on a non-Chase or Higgins team. This guy does have Chase Brown. But some quarterbacks getting cheaper. One of the reasons I said worthy here at 37, Ryan, is just because he's so easy to stack with Mahomes. But I'm not even really convinced this is a great price for Mahomes. Like, I realize he's way more fairly priced than he was last year, but like, I'm still not super excited to click him in the 80s when some pretty good receivers on the board here. I really wanted Aaron Jones with this for this team with Jordan Addison. We were talking Tony Pollard last week, and you and I were both like, yeah, he's too low. What do you think about the Titans, man? You've dug into the schedule. I need to hear some Titans takes because I haven't looked into them too much in terms of their schedule.
Yeah, so the Titans are fairly average just in terms of strength of schedule, in terms of against running backs for fantasy points allowed. Not favored in that many games. I want to say it's only 2 or 3 games, which is obviously a little rough. So like, in my opinion, very important to kind of be making a correlated bet on the Titans when you're drafting
Yeah.
Pollard, like we talked about last week. Drafting Ward on those teams makes a ton of sense. You just need them to overperform a little bit. But I will say Saints in week 17, one of the only games they are favored in. So that's at least kind of fun. Pollard had huge like win-loss splits last year as well. So yeah, it's a little like silver lining to me that I'm probably just going to keep clicking Pollard where I have been.
Yeah, if you want to be favored in one game, that'd be it. And if you're looking for other silver linings, I mean, they are projected to be not a bottom 5 offense. They're the 6th worst offense by implied points per game. All right, we're back on the clock here. We're about to be back on the clock. We need some backs. We could take our boy again, overdraft him. We could take Rashid Shaheed again. No quarterbacks really to jam besides maybe McCarthy.
Yeah, Herbert went, I assume.
No, Herbert's going on the 120s. We could
Oh,
definitely
okay.
overdraft him here. Let's take
Yeah.
Tootin and Herbert, and we'll miss
Yeah,
out
I
on
like
our boy
that.
Shaheed. I don't want to be caught out at quarterback.
Yeah, and I feel pretty good at receiver because yeah, quarterback gets
Yeah.
very rough very quick if we miss our sacks here.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about last week, man, is like after, and this AR price is wild to me. You were talking up Daniel Jones and how you like drafting him late, and I'm kind of with you. I think it's more likely that maybe Daniel Jones is a starter at the end of the year than Richardson. It's neither here nor there. At this point, I mean, that's where it is, though. That's the cutoff line, is that QB 27, QB 28. So definitely do not be afraid to be aggressive on your stacks. Yeah, Mako, I see you. Mako Busta. What's up, Busta? Yeah, Titans over 5.5 wins. I don't mind it. I mean, Cam Ward, I think is, as far as first overall picks go, probably among the weakest we've had in recent memory. But Can't get too much worse than Will Levis. Obviously, AFC South, super, super winnable. I see your other question here. Where are you guys taking Kelsey? And right now, I've been taking a lot of Kelsey, man. Like, I know the separation wasn't as good last season. I know he wasn't earning as many targets. We certainly can project that. But, like, you're asking for me, I mean, he went 96 here. That's about where I've been taking him, Ryan, in the 90s. We have him slightly ahead of ADP, along with Jonnu Smith. But Kelsey attached to Mahomes could absolutely fall into the end zone for 8 more touchdowns this year, man.
Yeah, that it's what you need. Like, I'll be honest, I'm very scared to click Kelsey where he's going.
Interesting.
The stat I just wrote for the strength of schedule series was in regular season games with Rashee Rice active, Kelsey averages like 6 underdog points per game. It's really, really rough. Obviously, like he's performed better than that in the playoffs, but like why would the Chiefs not save him for the playoffs? That was kind of explicitly the plan last year that got adjusted a little bit once Rice went down, but with the assumption that Rice is healthy and on the field in week 1, which it's looking more and more like that's the case. I like the price is fine with Kelsey. It's not like it's not like the opportunity cost is huge, but yeah, I don't know, not really my favorite click. I'd prefer to click like Jonnu Smith or just keep waiting and do like a Loveland or an Njoku around that range.
See, I kind of feel a little differently because it's like I know Kelsey's going to be kind of a dud weeks 1 through 5, but we just got through talking like it is a great year for three tight ends. Kelsey can absolutely be the start of that. You take Kelsey and then you take 2 late round guys. I love Hunter Henry. I love that shout you gave, but like take 2 more. You got Kelsey for the playoffs, kind of the same thing. It's like they're going to be ramping him up for the playoffs, and he could absolutely score a couple touchdowns. Again, Broncos defense was horrific against tight ends last year. It's a great spot, great game. I'm not going to take Kelsey in my redraft leagues again. Like I was fading Kelsey last year in redraft. Going to do it again this year because I'm with you. I don't really want to deal with that headache. But for best ball, I think it makes a ton of sense. All right, we're back on the clock here. We can polish off quarterback if you want. Like we can just go McCarthy and Stroud here because I'm not seeing any backs that like we have to have. McCarthy's a must, but you can talk me out of Stroud. Do you see any backs here? We've got Stevenson, Spears, Trey Benson.
I kind of like Benson here.
Okay.
And it's also like I don't know that the data actually backs this at all, but it feels a little bit wasteful to like have both quarterbacks in the week 17 stack to me. Like probably limits your upside a little bit. I don't know that there's any data to support that, but just theory wise, I don't know. It seems neater in my head to not do that. To have like an extra shot at a big week 17 score there. So yeah, I don't know what you would think of that.
Logically, I'm with you. I think just like with this team though, like what if like Nico scores 300 this year and like just Stroud ends up being a really solid like value pick at this pick. I'm with you though. Like if we didn't have Herbert, then we would have taken Stroud. But if like I'm with you. I think in general, I think that makes sense, but it just depends on the team build. Like if we didn't take Herbert here for sure, I would have taken Stroud there. But since we have both, we could honestly probably get away with a 2 quarterback build here and maybe take 3 tight ends. We'll have to see how this goes here. Benson makes it 4 for us. Of course, this is a fantasy points best ball breakdown. You're going to be seeing a lot of tootin'. One thing about me is I be tootin'.
Graham, actually, I need to ask you about this.
Yeah.
Graham, did you hear that Tootin fumbled once in May? What's your response to this, Graham?
Yeah, Cohen called him out. You might as well just cut him now. I mean, honestly, like what's the point? He fumbled in shorts. Cut him now, just completely worthless. No, I've been thinking more about this, and I think the Jags are one of my favorite best ball backfield stacks. And I've just been taking a ton of Tootin and Bigsby. And the reason and the logic is like Tootin and Etienne are a little redundant to me. I think Tootin is a very explosive outside zone runner, and Bigsby's kind of that inside, grinder. There's definitely a world where the Jags are significantly better this year. These guys are both going at like RB4, RB5 prices, and you can stack them both. Like there's no like, yeah, it's probably negatively correlated for 1 week tournament, like we talked about for week 17, but like over the course of a season, could certainly see Jags backfield being super valuable. But Tootin to me is still the main upside bet. Like you can absolutely just take Tootin. I've been saying this, and I'm gonna keep saying it in my articles too. Like he should be going with near Caleb Johnson. We're like in the 70s and 80s. Be interesting to see where he closes. There goes Bixby there. All right, we're back about nearly back up on the clock. We could take. So here's our call, Ryan. Do we want to have a 2 tight end team with just Hawk and some late round guy, maybe Jatavian Sanders, or I don't know, or do we take Bryce Young here? And there's another receiver that I think we have to take. Well,
Yes.
actually, we did not take Stroud. Sorry, forgot we didn't take Stroud. My
I mean, we could. I am not against Null, even regardless. But yeah,
right.
I think I like Young here, just because it's the same thing with Chuba as with Pollard, where he's just so game script sensitive. If the Panthers are good and Young beats ADP, then Hubbard probably smashes. Ted probably smashes. So
We could take Brenton Strange here, and honestly, I think we could be kind of done at tight end.
yeah,
Jags,
I'm with
8,
you.
yeah, by 8, yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So what?
So in games last year without Evan Engram, Brenton Strange averaged the same targets per game, same fantasy points per game as Dalton Kincaid did as a rookie. And we were drafting him in round 5 last year going into his year 2. Yeah, I don't know. It's never like, not to say, oh, Dalton Kincaid is my favorite player to compare someone to, but like for a 14th round pick where Brenton Strange is going, it's a little yeah, it's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, that's a great poll, and we're drafting Kincaid 2 rounds, maybe. Yeah, about 2 rounds, 1 round ahead, 1.5 rounds, right? Well, Kincaid or Strange actually kind of fell a little bit in this draft. I mean, we're taking Kincaid in the 120s right now. This whole pocket to me, Ryan, is besides this name right here, this whole pocket to me is super sexy. Like I can make an upside case for all these guys. And again, it's like a structure thing. Like you've got at this point, you've already got your 5, 6, maybe receivers. You've already got 3 good backs. You've already got maybe 1 stack, maybe 2. Like this is an awesome 3 tight end late round, type season. I know we're just doing the 2 here, but I feel even stronger about it doing more drafts. All right, we're rounding out. Let's figure out these last couple of picks here, man. Because I think we've got this like pretty clear, and I kind of want to land this ship because this is a pretty good team. I think running back is definitely the priority. I think a 3-6-7-2 makes the most sense with our 5 wideouts.
Mm-hmm.
So we need 2 more backs.
Let's see. I can't remember if we talked about him last week. I like Roshan. If we believe that Ben Johnson hates DeAndre Swift, or even not if he just hates him, if he just wants to run more of like an outside zone scheme, which is what he shifted to after the Lions got rid of Swift, then I mean, on the roster, to me, Roshan is like the most likely guy to be doing that. Swift has never really been used that way, and has never been great when used that way. So I like Roshan a lot. Yeah, I'm pretty stuck at wide receiver though. Probably not going to be very helpful there. I just hate everybody in this range.
The late round receivers this season, there are very few standout guys to me. To me, it's like all about finishing up your stacks, game stacks. Yeah, we got to move up Roshan. That's a good call, man. I like that. I mean, I guess in the back of my mind, I've been like just thinking like, here, hold on before. Yeah, we'll take Roshan. All right, so we'll take Roshan here. Could finish out Panther stack. Man, yeah, it is brutal at receiver here. I mean, I don't really like any of these guys either. Charger, we could take another back here.
We could. Yeah, I don't hate Lloyd. I don't hate Marks. I don't hate the Rams guys.
Yeah.
I don't hate Coker either. I think that also would work, but we can probably get him.
I don't care about ADP at this point because of our team, man. Like we're not taking another tight end for sure. Go ahead and finish up a little Panther stack. Let's go, Bryce Young. Get the limb lengthening surgery that Scott's been asking for years. Yeah, no, this is a sweet little team actually. Panthers play Seattle. Yeah.
Yes.
That's one of the games where I could see it being. Well, at least it's not in Seattle late season. It'll be in Carolina, so that's not terrible.
Yeah.
That's not as terrible.
Yeah, that's another one of the like week 17 stacks. It's just kind of hard because like if like JSN and Tet both fall, you can stack them, and I want to try to like make sure I remember to do that if I ever get the chance. But yeah, it's not a super easy like week 17 needle to thread with those current ADPs.
Yeah, Tet and Ken Walker makes a ton of sense. I want to draft a lot of Ken Walker. I'm sure you and I are going to be talking a lot about that this summer. But Tet and Ken Walker is like the one that stands out to me. That's easy to do. Excuse me. And you can take Sam Darnold late, take Bryce Young late if you need a quarterback. Bendels, I see your question, man. 49ers wide receiver room thoughts. Yeah, it is divisive. Ryan, I don't know if you have a strong take on the receivers, but like to me, it's like I just want to draft a ton of George Kittle. Like that's kind of where my head's at.
Yeah, that's mainly where my head is at as well. I am not a Ricky Pearsall believer. I've gotten in trouble for being too mean about Ricky Pearsall earlier this offseason, but yeah, I don't know. Like, not a prospect that was anywhere close to like a first round pick in any of like the consensus boards when he was drafted. I just the road of like he's gonna be in the Deebo Samuel role is like littered with total ADP busts over the last 5 years, pretty much all around the league. So I don't know, like Jawan Jennings produced when when he was in this exact same role. To me, it's just like Jennings, and I'm not like that interested in anybody else that is a 49ers wide receiver.
Jennings' price is hard for me to click, man. It's really hard. And it feels like a trap. You know, he had a great season last year, but Pearsall got shot, wasn't practicing, wasn't fully ready, maybe even until mid-season, to go. Ayuk will be coming back. Kittle's always a target earner. McCaffrey's always going to be at around 18 to 20% target share. It'll be a different look 49ers offense for sure, obviously with no Deebo, but Jennings is, I think, a value trap to me. And Kittle is like, again, he's going to be the lead target and he's a tight end. and he's cheaper than he was last year and the year before. Actually, no, he was actually like 65. All right, I have a thought here to close this out. Take a little Woody Marks. I think he beats out Dameon Pierce. Stack him with Nico over Blake Corum. I'm not a Blake Corum guy. I never have been. I think Hunter's better. What do you think about Isaac Tesla here? A little stack. Finish us up. Like Brett was saying, he's a freak mover. Obviously, like no production. Probably got overdrafted, but it gives us a little weird Vikings Lions stack.
Yeah, no, I think that works. Just guy on the Lions is fine with me. Don't need to nitpick it too much beyond that.
There you go. I like it. Yeah, and with this team, I think it makes sense. We can take some risk of Tesla just being a stone zero because we're pretty strong. Nico, Ladd, super high floor, good ceiling. Ted, obviously huge ceiling. I don't know that Addison gets suspended, man. This is feeling like the Rashee Rice thing again, where like everybody thinks he gets suspended, but he doesn't, and he should be going in the 40s. Yeah, nice little team and quick little draft, my friend. We wanted to talk a little bit about market. Again, ADPs have started to kind of solidify. We're going to see, Ryan, you kind of alluded to it. Running backs will get more expensive as the summer goes on, especially as we get some of these training camp battles settled. Other guys moving up. Pat Bryant, Broncos rookie receiver, is up 10 spots just over the last 7 days. He's gotten a little bit of hype, a little bit of buzz. think it makes some
Is
sense.
this because of the like Sean Payton calling him Michael Thomas, or is there a new thing with Pat
Oh, he did.
Bryant that I've
I
missed?
must have missed that. He called him Michael Thomas. He was calling Cortland Sutton Michael Thomas a couple years ago, man. He's got to get a new comp.
Yeah, no, but I mean, this is like what I was gonna say is like I don't care what which former players Sean Payton comps guys to. Like I will do it. I will go on Twitter and say that RJ Harvey is like thicker Reggie Bush or whatever. But I don't care when Sean Payton does it. Like he's unhinged. He will just say whatever. So yeah, I don't know. Unless there's something else I'm missing with Pat Ryan. It's kind of it's a little bit of a shrug to me.
Yeah, I think it's just like leaning into that uncertainty. The Broncos should be a good offense, but I was thinking about this too. I kind of think my Broncos analysis is like literally just I like Sutton, I love Harvey, I want to stack him with Knicks, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like Mims is going to the 110s now, and he might be a part-time player still, and a bit player at that. And then they have this rotation. They have Bryant, they have Vele, they have, Franklin still there. I know everybody forgot about Troy Franklin, but he still has a pulse. I'm with you. I'm not taking Pat Bryant in the 170s. That's crazy to me. The one guy I am buying that's coming up though is Will Shipley. And Ryan, you were talking about him this morning. I think Jim Kempski had a note that Shipley is clearly going to be their third down, change of pace back moving forward. No surprise there, but like AJ Dillon is complete dust, most likely. And there's a case, man, like obviously he's never going to get the Barkley volume if Barkley, God forbid, does get hurt. But yeah, you could squint and see Shipley being a solid, like volume-based RB2 if Barkley were to miss time.
Yeah, no, I really like this one. Yeah, it's just kind of a weird one. Like I feel like everyone's just forgotten. He's coming up now, obviously, because he's getting the buzz. But yeah, just Eagles RB2 is like something that I don't know, the community has just let go and not really thought about much, I guess, the first month of drafting.
Yeah, and I think it's because everybody kind of forgot that Ken Gainwell is gone. Which, by the way, what is he doing on the Steelers? Like you have Jalen Warren for that. But they've just let Gainwell walk. Obviously, he's been just a guy. But Shipley has a direct path to a role, and then certainly a little bit of upside. Ryan, real quick, two guys falling. No surprise, J.K. Dobbins and Keenan Allen. I think Keenan specifically will start falling. Dobbins is a more interesting one because he is under this restricted free agent tag that is basically like very rarely used in the NFL. Essentially, the Chargers have all the rights to Dobbins' contract this season until basically training camp, or I think it's like July 20th, whichever date is first. He'll be on the Chargers by that point. Then they could cut him or trade him. There's going to be, I think, some suitors for Dobbins and Chubb. Do you have any interest in Dobbins and Chubb? Because right now Dobbins is going to the 190s, Chubb is at 200. Dobbins definitely didn't look dead last year to the point where kind of Chubb did. How are you treating some of these free agent guys here?
Yeah, no interest in Chubb, just with how he looked, unfortunately. But Dobbins, yeah, I do have some interest. It's a little hard to say, okay, when am I going to start like catching the falling knife? In terms of his ADP, yeah, just knowing that he very likely will not sign or be with a different team until like the start of the preseason. But yeah, I mean, Dobbins to me has more juice than, I don't know, guys like Isaiah Pacheco or like DeAndre Swift or some of these other like just cardboard cutout like volume backs that we're drafting multiple rounds higher. So yeah, I don't hate like clicking some Dobbins in the 190s.
I was talking to Brett a couple weeks ago, and he was like, "Man, I think the Bears could be a spot for Chubb." And I was like, "That's interesting, but like by that logic, why wouldn't they just sign Dobbins? You know what I mean? Like, because I'm with you. I thought Chubb, unfortunately, man, he's one of my favorite running backs of all time, but it looked over last year. I hope he can bounce back and maybe find a home, but really rough market for him. And yeah, Dobbins is going to have a little bit of a market for sure. Ryan, you've been cranking on schedule adjusted with Scott. We kind of riffed through quickly at the top of the show some of the matchups that are standing out to you. You noted Rams, Falcons. We just drafted a Nico Ladd team. I love that idea. We just got a little Vikings weird stack there with Isaac Tesla along with McCarthy. Addison, and Hawk. Any other games kind of standing out to you right now that you're attacking, or any game stacks that you're seeing in your drafts that are maybe being a little bit undervalued?
I'll just say like the NFC South in general, and also tack on like the Dolphins. It's Dolphins Bucks in week 17, and then in weeks 15 and 16 with them, it's the Falcons and Panthers for Tampa Bay. All of these are like warm weather or dome games. They're generally weaker defenses, generally like likely shootout game scripts. So I need to kind of mess around with like just stacking all the NFC South teams. Basically, NFC South and Florida teams is going to be like my next little project to see how many of them I can jam onto one team.
Yeah, I like that, and you get a little bit of a round robin type deal, which does matter. And specifically, we were just talking earlier about BBM and how it is very tough to get a team through to the finals with the way that the advancement races are structured. I like that call a lot, specifically with the Bucks. I think that makes a ton of sense. Ryan, great show, man. We will be back next week, same time, same place, same channel. Again, if you're not subscribed to the Fantasy Points YouTube channel, please do so. And as always, we are a proud partner here with Underdog. You can get a Fantasy Point subscription for $5, Ryan, just $5. Use code FANTASYPTS. That's code FANTASYPTS at your Underdog checkout. If you're a new user, you can get yourself a Fantasy Point subscription and a deposit match up to 1,000 doll hairs. So make sure you are taking advantage of the deposit matches. Also, make sure you're taking advantage of any of the deposit matches the Underdog offers during the summer, Ryan. I saw that they're doing some deposit matches or deposit bonuses. Basically, you just have to use those credits within, I think, a certain window. I think it's like 10 or 14 days. So make sure you're on that as well. If you're volume drafting, certainly nice to get a little bit of money, a little bit of bang for your buck. And Underdog is great at that. For Ryan, I'm Graham. For Thomas behind the screen, we'll see you guys next week.
What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.